Back here on SportsLine, we're talking the St Jude Rock and Roll Music City Marathon coming up this weekend. So much to get to. There's the Health and Fitness Expo, the marathon, half marathon, 5K. A couple new events too, a couple other events that are just off the main stage, so to speak, but very much a big part of this weekend. We're going to talk it all tonight. Again, our guests, Brandt, Bernat, Operations Manager, Drew Wolff, Regional Director for the Marathon Series. And Drew, you kind of hit on the first segment about the music, and it was one of the real draws for you to move here to Music City and be a part of this. I know you moved from Austin, another pretty good music town, although this one's better by far. But when you talk about this race, and I know every race you guys do is about music, but how unique is the Music City race in terms of the type of music and the quality of music that you can accompany these races with?
Yeah, I think that is the unique piece. Every band that we have, whether they be at the Health and Fitness Expo, along the course, or as part of our encore entertainment, is really top-level talent. Whether it's a country music artist that's grown up here in Nashville, or somebody that's, like myself, come here because of the music scene, that's something special. So I think every band that you listen to, you're like, oh my goodness, they're incredible. Why have I not heard them on the radio? And they're playing on our course, which is incredible.
I mean, it's kind of like walking up and down Broadway. You just walk by a band and you're like, oh my gosh, they're amazing. And then you walk to the next door and it's the same thing, only now you're running through this. And I have to think when you get out there to North Nashville, move over to East Nashville, and you're 10, 12, 14, 16 miles into it, and maybe you're hitting that wall, so to speak, Drew, and you hear the next band and you think, wow, they're really good too. I gotta think that gives you a little extra adrenaline to help you finish the 26.2.
Yeah, absolutely. The Nashville Sports Council, who helps us book all those bands and get them out there on the course, have done a phenomenal job in just getting engaging bands. To your point, at mile 20, you're in the real hardest part of the marathon. You're just trying to get to the finish line. To have a band there that's interested in you and playing music to lift your spirits, that's incredible.
Brandt, when you look at the layout of the course, I know every year it's essentially been a challenge to find out how much music you can cram in. Right. So my question this year is, how much music did you cram in to 26.2 miles?
So we are at 26 just different stages or acts along the course. Some of those being, like Drew said, local Nashville artists here, some DJs, spoiler alert, putting a little musical activation on a trolley out on the course this year.
Okay.
So we really are hitting all the stops. But yeah, 26 different activations out there on course.
Wow, that's incredible. And it starts with music at the Health and Fitness Expo, and then I haven't even seen the official listing of this yet, but once it's all done, the big party on Saturday night, what's that going to be for people who haven't seen it yet? What's the plan to celebrate everybody who goes out and runs and finishes on Saturday? Yeah,
so once everybody starts finishing, we'll have an opening act at Nissan Stadium just outside in parking lot H. But then we are really excited for our encore entertainment that'll go on at about 11 o'clock in the morning, which is the Struts. Large English, band growing up, just really come, full circle and grown over the past few years. Big rock and roll scene, so really excited for them to join us here at our Finish Line Festival. It is free and open to the public, so anybody can come on down. It's food trucks, we got some bars set up. Our partners with Heineken are going to be there at 0.0. A bunch of different activations and stuff going on at the Finish Festival, but headlined by the Struts. Everybody's welcome down there at Nissan Stadium.
And the Struts, like a lot of us, drawn to Nashville, just signed with Big Machine, so pretty exciting. So it's now a hometown show for them too. It's
very cool. By the way, you mentioned the bars, and I've never quite understood this, but it is tradition that when you cross the finish line, you go get a beer. I told you guys I'm not much of a runner. That would be a draw for me.
Absolutely.
Just get to the end, get a beer. Where did that come from, and how much? I guess that's one of the rewards. Like, you get the medal and you get the beer.
It's carbohydrates. It's proper recovery. Hydration, carbohydrates, and a great way to celebrate your achievement. Yeah, it's something that we have a lot of fun with. As Brandt mentioned, we've got some great partners down there. We create a party atmosphere, and then you can continue right from there straight to Broadway. Enjoy everything that Nashville has to offer.
The beer isn't the best training plan,
Right.
but it is a great recovery plan. Great recovery plan for these folks. So everything gets set with the Health and Fitness Expo, which opens up on Thursday, correct?
Correct.
12 noon.
Right at 12 noon. I was just going to ask. So, Drew, what do people need to know about the Health and Fitness Expo? Obviously, you get your bib there. You kind of get signed up and get set
Sure.
and ready to go for Saturday. But what else do they find when they walk into the Health and Fitness Expo?
Sure. It's open to everyone. Obviously, everyone that's registered prior to the event or anyone that's interested in registering for the event can come down, join us at the Music City Center. You'll have an opportunity to get some limited edition merchandise for the rock and roll event, but also we've got a number of vendors, both local and series wide there. Everything from very health and fitness focused merchandise and items to just cool things that you might not ever find in a store or anywhere else. On top of that, we've got some activations where you can enjoy a pre-event hydration drink of your choice. We'll have live music again all day long on Thursday and Friday. Live music, to your point. You're going to hear some musicians that you're like, oh my goodness, they're an incredible band just playing there. And that's really, I think, one of the fun parts about this is it's just not lining up to run on Saturday or Sunday. It's come down, be a part of a greater community, and enjoy that with everyone that's there.
It starts at noon on Thursday, runs through 7 o'clock, then 10 a.m. to 7 o'clock on Friday. And Brandt, when you look at the Music City Center, something that the city's pretty proud of over the last decade as well, I have to imagine in terms of convention centers and spaces you can put on an expo around one of your races, it's got to rank pretty high up there in terms of an operations guy setting it all up.
Yeah, I mean, the building is beautiful and immaculate. The space inside there, we're using halls A and B, but we've been in throughout the entire building there, is really just something special. I think the city, Music City Center's done a really good job in just building that place up. It's perfect for us and what we're looking for.
And everything's so centrally located, from the start line to the finish line at the stadium to the Health and Fitness Expo right there at Music City Center. All of that, I mean, you could walk to and from very easily, and that certainly helps when you're trying to watch your loved one or your friends go through the entire process. Then on Saturday, of course, you got the marathon, half marathon, 6.15 mile race, and the 5K, all coming up on Saturday morning. Staggered start time still. What time do you get going? What time do things kind of wrap up at the start line, Brandt? And then what time do you think all the runners pretty much wrap up at Nissan Stadium?
Yeah, so 5K and 6.15 will go off at 6:30 in the morning, right at 8th and Demumbrian. And then the half marathon and full marathon will go off at 7:20 at 8th and Broadway. So our start lines will be clear about an hour afterwards, and then throughout the entire course, all of our athletes and participants will be off by about 2 o'clock and be at Nissan Stadium.
What do you tell people in terms of if they're in the race, depending on which race it is? When do they need to be there? What do they need to look for on Saturday morning? Because that is one thing. We talked about the spectacle of the scene, and it's awesome to be down there when they run out of the chute and go. But before they actually go, it can be a bit hectic because there's thousands of people, both runners and spectators down there, all kind of scrambling for position. What do the runners need to know as they show up on Saturday to put their mind at ease?
Yeah, it's good, reminder just to get your plans in place prior to, trying to figure it out at 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. So, we have free parking options at Nissan Stadium where you can park and then take the pedestrian bridge over. Our partners at Old Town Trolley have a we're offering a shuttle service from various just areas around Nashville, depending if you're staying at certain hotels. But really, figuring out what you're going to do with parking in race morning, or if you're going to shuttle, drive, take an Uber or a cab into the city. We recommend about getting there about an hour ahead of time. Gives you enough time to check your bag, a gear check, get acquainted with the start lines, really bask in the moment of just being with all the runners and enjoy the environment, for a moment before you really hit the pavement running.
Well, that's when it gets serious for sure. Drew, when you talk about the family members or friends who come to watch, obviously the start line and the finish line are places everybody wants to be. But especially if your loved one's out there running the full 26.2 miles, you may want to try and make 3 or 4 hours of it and get around and try to find them at various spots. Do you have any suggestions for those fans, those family members, on where else to go? They start at the finish line, they want to, or start at the start line, want to end at the finish line to see them there. Where should they go in between?
Sure. I would say drop them off at the start line, wish them well, head down to 12 South or over into the Gulch. Go grab a great breakfast at one of the many local spots right along the course. Your loved one's going to come by. You can cheer them on, pay your tab, catch an Uber, or head on over to Nissan Stadium and welcome them there. 12 South, the Gulch, East Nashville. We run through some of the really cool neighborhoods that are really engaging and have some great eateries right there. So make that part of your day. It can make it really special.
It helps because our station is right nearby and I could get to it and park.
Yeah.
But when I was doing it, I went to 12 South. And then we went to the ballpark just up the street here,
absolutely.
Which is another phenomenal thing. And Brandt, I was going to ask about this because that really came into play, I think, about the time you got involved with the race. Because for a long time you had the deep stretch out there in Metro Center, which was always, if there was one complaint about the race everybody had, it was the running of like 3 miles through Metro Center and feeling like you were at the end of the world before you got back into kind of the action of downtown and moved towards East Nashville. How much has it changed and in your mind improved the race to have that run through what is really one of the most picturesque minor league ballparks in the entire country?
Yeah, I think making that change and going part through Germantown now, and then taking the marathoners through Sound Stadium. The Sounds have been great partners to work with, but I think again that's something unique that we can only offer here to the participants that come and race with us. And for them to get to experience Sound Stadium, run through it,
They actually run on the field.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so again, we put another musical act just right outside there as well. So being able to do that is just something that you can only experience here at such a great stadium.
So this is the 12th year. I guess 2020. I can't remember if we did a show in 2020 hoping to get to a race that never happened or not, but it's the 12th year I've been here and hosted these shows and talked about it and previewed it. And I can say for the first 5 or 6 years at least, it seemed like there was always a tweak to the course. And try to make it a little bit better, try to make it a little bit different, whatever it is. It now seems like, and again, the last couple of years have been strange and harder to keep track of because of what COVID has meant for everybody. But it seems like over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been less of those tweaks, less of those changes. It seems like the sweet spot's been found. Did you make any changes this year to the course? And how good is this course now compared to maybe how it started, 10, 20 years ago?
Yeah, so it's a balance game. We listen to our participants' feedback after races. See what we can do to make adjustments. At the same time, work with the community here. Nashville is growing tremendously in every single area of the city, and so take all that in consideration. Construction that's going on. So long story, we haven't made, there's some minor tweaks to avoid, some constructions in areas. We've added just some distance over in Capitol View, which is a beautiful area as well, and still, utilize part of Shelby Park for the marathon. But really, the course is predominantly the same, outside of just some minor tweaks. But it's always a balancing game that, again, the community support has been great. We, work with our partners here in the city and Metro government to work, all together, for the event.
I want to get to some of the other events coming up with Drew probably in the next segment because we're coming up against a break. But for the people who are out there, you talk about working with the community, Brandt, and part of putting off a race like this when you're covering 26.2 miles, of course, is shutting down a huge chunk of the city and the infrastructure and the roads and all that. Advice for the people not running, not watching this weekend, just living in Nashville. What do they need to know? What do they need to look out for from 4 or 5 in the morning Saturday to early afternoon?
Yeah, so if you do live, along the course or in the near vicinity and are driving around even today, you'll see no parking signs up along the route. And so, if you do see those, we just ask that you abide by those come Friday night into early Saturday morning. Everything that we have, I would say take a look at our website. The course map is on there. Also on there is traffic impact and road closure information and brochures. And so, what we've done is everybody along the course as well has received those in the mail, and where you can view all the different timelines, when your specific area might be impacted, roads that are closed, and some access lanes that we've built in for people just to move around within the city.
RunRockandRoll.com is the website?
Correct. RunRockandRoll.com. Yep.
And what else do they need? Anything? Is it self-explanatory when they get there? What else do they need to know to get the details of Nashville?
Yeah, so if you go to the Nashville event page and click on the course tab, in there we'll show you the course map where you can view, relative to where you're staying or where you're living, where the course actually runs by, and then the actual road closure information is on that page as well.
And then I think you work with the Waze folks.
Yep. Yeah, so we also input the course and closures inside of Waze, and so if you're going about on the course on Saturday, need to get somewhere, ask that we utilize Waze. It'll help you get around the course and get to your destination.
That is good. And for the most part, some of the places East Nashville around the stadium where runners will be going, maybe even into the early afternoon part, will be a little bit later. But for the most part, most of these roads open right back up pretty quickly once people pass through, don't they? Yeah,
correct. I mean, it's in the ballpark of 15 minutes or so to a half hour that we open roads up safely, just with the runners and cleanup that we do. So yeah, most of south and west and north open up fairly quickly.
It's an incredible undertaking, and it's a really impressive thing to watch if you ever get the chance to go out there. We've got much more to talk about. The St. Jude Rock and Roll Music City Marathon coming up this weekend once again here in Nashville. Brandt and Drew going to hang with us through the end of the show. Again, our phone line's open 737-7767 if you'd like to chime in with a question or comments, and stay with us because much more is straight ahead here on SportsLine.